everybody, welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. I'm Dylan, that is Sal, and today we're going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again. It's a new show that's coming out, Disney Plus, at some point. Next year? The year after? Who's to say? Anyway, before we get into that, we are sponsored by G Fuel. So if you want to go to G Fuel and order a bunch of stuff, use the code COMICS, you'll get 10% off. Also, if you want to subscribe, that would be great. A lot of you aren't subscribed, and we're trying to get to 100,000 subs. We'll get fun plaques on our wall. Mine will go right there. Sal's will be floating behind him. It'll be real cool.
Mine'll be in a drawer.
Yeah,
no,
fair
enough. It'll be out. It'll be up. I'll be very proud.
Anyway, the Daredevil show. Daredevil's back. Charlie Cox is playing him.
Yep.
What do you think this show is going to be? It's 18 episodes of a Disney Plus show.
I think this is going to be like the most like the Netflix shows we have gotten from Disney Plus yet. And I think the reason is because like Disney's aware of the Save Daredevil campaign. They are aware of how much affinity people have for Daredevil. And while they're going to put their spin on it, like the big Marvel spin, you know, the way they did with Spider-Man or any other character that they may have gotten back, you know, like when they put Patrick Stewart in the cartoon yellow chair, you know, like they're like, we have to put our spin on it, you know? They're going to do that, but I think this is going to be like their version of the Netflix show, where it's like, it is episodic, it is made to be a show, and it is, what do I, like, it's like they've never seen it before. They're like, well, what do we know about the Daredevil show? Those people are in it. Okay, we got them. It's long. All right. And they shoot in New York. No. You know, like, that was one thing you know they're not going to do. Like, how about Georgia? I'm thinking Georgia.
Close enough. Hell's Kitchen is actually an entire city in Georgia.
Yeah, more like a street that we will have already shot something on. Maybe like the Endgame shoot. But yeah, so, I mean, like, I think it's going to be Disney / Feige's version of the Netflix show. I think that begrudgingly Feige's going to admit that like he liked that show, you know, because Feige, of course, was really much at odds with Loeb, and like there's a lot of things you can argue don't work about those shows, but not much. Iron Fist, the show, you know, Defenders, and the direction it went in, but everything else, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, that all worked. So they're like, okay. I feel like it'll be less self-indulgent. Like, I don't think we're going to get, like, a whole episode about Karen Page being a kid. You know, I think it's going to be more about Daredevil. And hopefully more courtroom stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely, like Marvel, like, Studios specifically doesn't seem to have a ton of interest in, like, indulging in side characters. But it's interesting because thus far it's been 6-episode series, so you don't really have time to do that.
Well, because they're movies. Like, I firmly believe, and I'm sure you agree, that these were... I mean, like, this is a movie studio pretending to be a TV production company.
Right.
And they're like, I don't know, how about this 90-minute plot stretched over 6 episodes?
Yeah, for 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours. And that's the worst of it, is that they don't even have the fun. Like, if you told me that Tarantino was going to make a 6-episode show, I'd be like, hell yes, because it's basically just a Tarantino movie that's 6 hours. That's basically just Kill Bill, right? Like, that's awesome because he knows what to show me and what to pull back on. But if he's given more time, we just get more awesome. With Marvel, they don't know what to add in or spend more time on. You know, like Loki could be 5 episodes. Like, that's how much they thought to put into that show. It was that there's a whole episode they wasted. That's a problem. But with Daredevil,
Marvel could be like 3.
So. Exactly. I mean, like, I liked all of Ms. Marvel. I have no complaints about the structure of that show because it's the most like a show that show ended up being. But I also think that like 18 is pretty damn ambitious for Marvel, since I don't think they're capable of making a show yet.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because like even the Netflix series, I think they were all around 13 episodes.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And I
so
do
it's like
remember
5
a lot
more?
of people. Right. Now 5 more, and there were a lot of criticisms about it being too long back then. And
big time.
Like, people were like, they had the entire episode where Foggy finds out about Matt being Daredevil is just them talking. And I'm not saying that I don't like these episodes, like Karen's backstory episode.
No, I actually like those too.
Yeah, I think they're great. And they
Yeah.
work very well in that show because that show knows that it has actors that are playing these characters really well, and like we want to see that on screen.
Yeah.
I don't need like even in season 3 of Daredevil, where you don't really see Daredevil a whole lot. You see Matt a lot and him like returning and stuff, but he's like dead for most of the season.
Yeah,
and that's great.
Yeah, you see more Bullseye.
Like, built up. Yeah,
right.
And you've built up that goodwill over the course of the previous 2 seasons, and you know that this can be like good and well done. And it's just, do we know, like, I don't know if we know anyone that's coming back to the show. I don't think we know.
I heard a rumor
that
the dude who plays Foggy's coming back, but I also have no idea if that's true or not, because like people have created cottage industries off of just lying, just being like, hey, I heard this. That's not true. Yeah, cool. Well, I'm unaccountable.
What's your source?
Not me. It's called Trust Me, Bro. But yeah, that's it. And I mean, like, if they're smart, the fact that Charlie Cox is back, the fact that Vincent D'Onofrio is Kingpin, the fact they've already like doubled down on that, I don't see any reason for them to try and go like, you know what, Karen Page was miscast. Like, I think they're going to bring back the bulk of them.
Yeah,
you know?
especially because like I'm pretty sure Vincent D'Onofrio on his Twitter has multiple times been like,
bring everybody
I forget
back.
her name right now. Yeah, bring everyone back.
Deborah
specifically
Ann Woll.
Like, yeah, Deborah Ann Woll. Like, bring her back as Karen Page, because absolutely, I rewatched Daredevil not too long ago.
Yeah.
And she, like, along with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, is probably like the best on that show. Like, she handles that character really well.
There is not a miscasting in that show. Like, I like Elodie Young as Elektra, and I would like to see her come back.
She's great.
Like, I'm okay with that.
I think it's such a shame with her, because like a lot of her stuff and Stick also fantastic.
Yeah, Stick was great.
Him coming back in season 2, a lot of that stuff like leading into the Defenders and kind of their plot like being chopped in half and going into like what was not a great show in the Defenders is kind of a shame. And I think, you know, that stuff, it's like Marvel Studios does this a lot, where they just introduce an idea and don't give it time to breathe, because like,
yeah, that's right.
Here's the Ultron story, and we never get Ultron again until weird animated show.
Yeah, you created a villain, just as a quick tangent about Ultron, you created a villain that literally can't die, like, because they uploaded themselves to the internet. You mean to tell me he didn't put himself anywhere else? Like, sure.
Yeah, no,
and then they go like, no, he's extinguished and he'll never be back. Like, are you for real? You expect me to believe that? Like, first of all, I expect the Avengers to believe that, because like they need to think they've won. But are you for real right now? And they've stuck to it, where there still is no Ultron. Like, why isn't Ultron a serious power player that never goes away? Because that's what Ultron is in the comics. He never goes away.
He's like, always around in some capacity.
There was when I was growing up, Ultron 13 was a major bad guy. The 13th Ultron had his own like identity as like this era's Ultron. Like, there's so many. Put him in space, make him a cosmic level threat. Anyway, Daredevil, yes. Daredevil, it's interesting because knowing the way in which Marvel has been approaching the Disney Plus initiative and making shows nobody asked for, like Echo and Agatha, I wonder if maybe they're cameo proofing their show by insulating it with 18 episodes. Like, they're like, no, it's 18 episodes, but like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, like all these characters are going to be like we're calling it Born Again, but it's going to be Shadowland,
right?
You know, because as we I think we're leaning towards what we're going to talk about in this episode. They can't do Born Again because they already did.
They already did it, right? And like so I haven't read Born Again, but I'm pretty sure I remember what it is. But do you want to
read Born Again?
I know, I'm terrible. I haven't read.
It's one of the most perfect comic books of all time. Like, it is.
That's what I've heard.
As good, if not better, than Year One, which is made by the same creative team. It's Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli.
Right.
And damn, and it's just the book is just Kingpin decides it's open season on Matt. Like, he finds out who Matt is thanks to Karen, and he blows up his office, and Matt goes and takes down Daredevil or Kingpin. and like tries to like assimilate into the quiet life. It's a really damn good story, but there's actually an incredible Marvel moment in it. It's one of the most iconic Marvel moments, and I want it so bad, and we literally can't have it because of the nature of the MCU right now. There's a sequence at the end where basically they deploy Nuke, the character Nuke from the Jessica Jones show. Yeah, that's where Nuke is invented. They deploy Nuke on Daredevil, and Nuke causes a huge ruckus. Captain America finds him repugnant. He decides to take down Nuke, which is awesome. But there's a whole there's a huge horrible fire in Hell's Kitchen, and Cap, Iron Man, and Thor show up and deal with it.
That's cool.
It is so well rendered. This image of like a dude who can't see them, who's from the street, looking up at these gods, solving this problem in his neighborhood.
That's cool.
And it's like it's so. And then they're like, hey, solve this problem, DD, or we will solve it for you. And it's just really cool to see, like, street level meets, like, Avengers level. Like, it's something that we should have always had, especially when like they threw a big fit to get Spider-Man into this universe and then made him an Avenger immediately. Yeah. You know, it was like, Spider-Man should be able to look at these guys and go, like, are you kidding me? Like, that's... And if we can't have that, then we should definitely have Daredevil do it.
Yeah, totally. And I think hopefully like it seems like that's the direction that they're going in.
But it'd be really weird and hollow if it's Sam and like, you know, Kate Bishop and like Riri Williams.
It's I mean, at least in the direction of like we are finally going to have real street level and we're going to separate that. But it is a shame that like, you know, you don't get these like as much as I'm okay with like passing of the torch, like heroes, legacy heroes existing. Yeah, they don't have that, like you were saying, like that like a Titan shows up and it's like, wow, this is a character with history and breadth, especially in the MCU where it's like maybe when Captain America or Iron Man, like Tony Stark, Steve Rogers show back up, that's going to have the weight that it would in the comics. Like, if they're in a specific area, or like if the Watcher shows up and it's like, oh, something important is happening. Like it's stuff like that we don't get all that often.
No, we will get them eventually because, but for very different reasons than in the comics, and it's unfortunate. But we could approximate it, and I think that Feige knows what that book means and what it is, and it's weird because it's like, well, did the Netflix shows happen or not? Are you retooling the Netflix shows? Like, was Nuke a major character in Jessica Jones or not? Because if you're going to bring back Nuke, that'd be awesome, but you also can't have Cap go after him unless you bring back Sam, which is cool, but different. There are elements and plot points you can use from Born Again and weave into this show, but I fear that it's going to be more like Age of Ultron in terms of we're going to use the name and that's it. Like, we're calling it Born Again the same reason we called Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, we don't care about the homecoming dance. Like we're talking about getting the character back.
Right. Which I think, you know, it's if this ends up being like a great Daredevil show, then I don't think anyone's going to care. No. And there's a lot that they can pull from that's different. Like, I think the most obvious thing that you do is, and I don't know if I necessarily want this, but at least to me, like, the most obvious thing you do if you're Marvel is you say, okay, the 3 seasons of the Netflix show that everybody loves is dark and gritty, that version of Daredevil. Yeah. Now we're going to do our own version of Daredevil, which is the more, like, comedic, like, funny.
Lighthearted,
I'm not Daredevil, like Matt Murdock showing up in the sweater. That version of Daredevil. Which I think is fun, but also how do you do that for 18 episodes?
It's tough, yeah, because Matt lends himself to Reinvention, and using the Born Again title is clever to say, like, we're rebirthing Daredevil.
He's different now.
And there's a precedent set. Like, I can imagine people getting really up in arms about, like, the tonal shift, but it's like, that's the same thing that happens in the comics, and we're all fine with it, so you have to be too. Now, that being said, I'm sure people just would rather watch that show, like that more dour tone show, but you know what? It's 3 seasons of Matt getting drugged through the mud. I'm excited to see him like smile.
Something different, yeah.
Right? And but yeah, 18 episodes. That's like 2 seasons. Like that's you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of show about Daredevil. And
that's 3 Disney Plus shows.
That's 3 different Disney Plus shows, and like you can't make your superheroes look good for 6 episodes. How are you going to make Daredevil look halfway decent?
At least Daredevil isn't a CG monster.
Right. But like they can't even make Moon Knight look real, and that was a practical costume.
That's true. That's a good point. Damn.
And what the hell? But like I said, I think that they're going to use Born Again as a way of being like, yeah, Daredevil, but also like Daredevil is going to be our way of reintroducing or fully introducing you to the streets of Marvel, where it's like, here is Luke Cage, here's White Tiger.
Man, that would be
like,
cool.
Yeah, like I think we're getting like, yeah.
I think that would be really neat if they're not going to do this, but kind of hinting on what you were saying earlier of we have 18 episodes because it's like maybe it is 3 6-episode arcs of different characters with Daredevil.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is when I think of Daredevil going up against Kingpin in a show, we've had that twice.
Yeah.
And the second time it happened, it was, at least in my opinion, one of the best television shows on the planet.
It's some of the best, like Matt interacting with Frank Castle on the roof and Matt beating the ever-loving hell out of Kingpin are two of the best superhero, like comic book superhero moments rendered on screen.
Absolutely.
And that's it's a tough act to follow, and I wouldn't bother.
Right.
Like,
no, that's what I'm saying. Is that's like if you're gonna throw Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin back into the MCU, and you're gonna have him go up against Daredevil, not save him for like Spider-Man or something else.
Which I think they might. I still think they might use Daredevil and Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And maybe the Daredevil show is the first time we see Spider-Man after No Way Home, which would be crazy.
That would blow my mind.
Yeah, that would blow my mind from many different directions. Of like, really, this is where you bring him back?
Fine by me. I don't want to see him in another Doctor Strange movie.
Right. But yeah, I think there's so much that they could do. I don't know exactly what I want because I don't know if I want Daredevil season 4 just because there's a lot of baggage there. Yeah. And if it's not the exact same creative team, I don't think it's going to work as well. But I also don't want them to just redo season 3, you know?
No, I don't think they're going to redo season 3, but I also don't want them to see them pretend to be like the same creative force that came before, right? Because it'll be pale, it'll be weak, because they're going to be like, well, we can't get away with that. Despite the fact that, like, I would be normally more concerned, but I just saw the trailer for that Cassian Andor show, and I'm like, oh my God, why does this look better than all the Star Wars shows you've made?
It looks good.
Why?
Well, that's okay.
It looks incredible. Like, it looks
okay.
Yeah. And maybe they got the same guy who cut that trailer that cut the freaking Rogue One trailer, because Rogue One looked pretty awesome when in trailer.
Yeah, Rogue One trailer's pretty cool.
It's pretty dope.
Movie?
It's a really good trailer.
Not so much.
It's got its moments. But, like, But Andor looks like the tone. I'm like, oh, yes. Why didn't you get these people to make Boba Fett? Like, what's wrong with you people? And but I'm like, okay, I don't know why we can take Star Wars seriously. I genuinely think it's because power players want to play in Star Wars more. So it's like, it would be like if Martin Scorsese was like, all right, I'm going to make a Star Wars show. And it's like, what? Yeah, but you can't touch me. You can't like, I'm going to do whatever I want. It's like, oh, okay. Whereas Marvel, it's like, whoa, these things.
We've got our own ideas here.
If we do it right, every time we do this, it makes $1 billion. We can't let creativity screw that up. Like, no, that's a problem. So I don't know. I don't know, but I am hopeful that, like, the fact that there is like a reverence for Daredevil. Maybe, I mean, like, look at how X-Men 97 is only the reason why we have an X-Men 97 coming. Apparently, is because of how much the animated series was watched on Disney Plus. It could be the reason we have 18 episodes is because of how much people watched Daredevil on Disney Plus. If that's the case, then, like, they know they're playing to people who like that show, and so they're trying to, like, re-engineer it, which does kind of hurt me because that means that, like, not as many people watch the Spider-Man animated series, which is like, oh, really? You're not going to bring it back? Okay, fine.
Well, we're getting freshman year, so
yeah, we're getting that confusing mess of a show. Cool. Yep. Can't wait. Yippee. Multiverse, right? Or not. I don't know.
Or not.
And I love the people in the comments who are going to be like, huh, how could you not know? You don't either, you liar.
Yeah, you haven't seen it.
You have no idea. You're going from, like, hearsay, circumstance, and, like, misread quotes. You have no idea what that show's going to be or what universe it's in. You have no idea. So don't speak declaratively about things that you don't know. I do it because I'm paid to do it, but I will admit that I don't know what I'm talking about. Daredevil, I have no idea what they're gonna do. I also could imagine you talked about breaking it up into basically 3 seasons of a show. I could easily see them do that where like the first season's yellow, the second season is like black again, and then the third season's red, where it's like it's 3 distinct eras of Daredevil. You know,
that'd be cool.
I could see that where it's like, yeah, this is the fun season, like this is the She-Hulk season, or like this is, but 18 episodes. It's I would say it's ambitious, but I'm actually like, I don't know if I want to give them that much credit. I think it's more like daunting and intimidating. Like, don't like if I could say one thing to Feige about 18 episodes, I would say don't. Like, that would be my first initial reaction. And I might be wrong, and I want to be, and that's the thing. So, like, I hope it's great, but I don't know who's writing it. I don't know who's in it. I don't know who's directing it. I don't know if they're shooting it in Hell's Kitchen. I don't know what the tone theme is. Like, we talked about showing you guys a poster that came out. It's fake. It's not a real poster. So it's like, we don't know what this show looks anything. Like, acts like, feels like. I don't know. And I know we're not going to get, like, the rooftop Frank Castle scene. I know we're not going to get a sequence in which Elektra takes an unarmed man, cuts his throat, bathes in his blood, and then says, "Do you want to sex with me now?" Like, we're never going to see that again. Doesn't say that outright, but like we know what the subtext is in that sequence.
Sure.
And it's like that scene was burned into my brain forever because I'm like, I've dated women like that. Yikes! Like,
oh no. You've dated murderers?
Just that level of like, do you love me now that I'm covered in the blood of our enemies? And I'm like,
no,
I need to leave.
This is not what I wanted at all. You crazy person.
I thought I wanted this, but like, now
that there's a dead man in front of me.
We have to get rid of him now. Damn it. Anyway, Daredevil. Yeah, that's what you can expect from Daredevil.
We're excited. Yeah. We're excited. We don't know what this show's going to be. Maybe you do. Let us know.
Do we even know when it comes out?
Yeah, it comes out in like a year or two.
Good luck.
Sometime. We'll see. We'll reconvene after She-Hulk, and we'll talk about this again. After
that's basically,
after She-Hulk comes out.
I think you're right. That's going to be like a tone. Like, we're going to see, like, when we see Matt in that show, we're going to be like, oh, that's what you want to do.
This is what they're doing, yeah. Which, like, we have seen Matt, not to keep this going, but we have seen Matt already in No Way Home. But it was so small and, like, so, like, clearly, like, just play Daredevil. We don't have any ideas what we're doing yet. Just
we don't know what the theme is. You just do what you do. Just say the lines the way you would. I mean, he doesn't say much.
You did this for, like, 4 years. Just do it again.
Is there any, like, I would have expected him in Armor Wars before a Daredevil show because Foggy needs a really good lawyer.
What's happening to Armor Wars.
What happened to Armor Wars?
The director said it's still coming, but Marvel says otherwise. So.
Yeah, I didn't see it on that list.
Nope.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been Absolutely Marvel and DC. Stay tuned to the channel for more talks. She-Hulk is coming out real soon, so we'll be on that. And I am Groot, among other things. Stay tuned. Catch y'all next time. I'm Dylan, that's Sal.